We saw, like, from PBM, I think last year in Phase 2, like a very, very niche set of games where Nox support was played, and it didn't really... I mean, it did well in those games, but I don't think those were very high-pressure games for them to do well in. Nox support...
The guy who has not seen a game of competitive all year long, and who else but Rongyu on the Leviathans to bring it out here in the first game up against the Olympus Bolts. J-Mac and Mifflin here.
Do it from a range, doesn't really have to put himself at risk either. I might be a fan of this pick.
Lasbra going to be the first jungler to get aggressive in a lane, but that Disapparate was already out by Zapman, and that'll make sure that he can get back safely to his tower. But Zapman's walking back up. Lasbra goes for the ult, picks him up in place, and that's first blood over to the Olympus Bolts off the back of the jungler.
Easy enough for Lasbra, just routes his enemy. Zapman getting the Zapman.
200 gold this early in the game, absolutely nothing. You know, it's a ward for a couple of different players here. Lasbra again wants to get aggressive, and with the Centaurus shots needs the damage to maybe find Shinto, but it's not going to be enough, and the cat will not seal the deal. Panatom goes in aggressive, doesn't find anything. Jake with the silence, with the spirit ball, with the circle of protection, takes him down, and the support grabs him.
The Olympus Bolts have come to play early game aggression.
Even sitting by, looking like he wanted to make a rotation in, but now he's the one getting rotated on. Venenu and Barracuda dashing in aggressively.
Wow.
But that Disapparate, just such a good ability to get him out.
Awesome Jake might be cut out in the jungle here, but it's a turn on to Rongyu, who's taken a lot of damage. Meditation Pop should spell the end of that engagement, unless Panatom's got something to say.
Panatom gets the pin, he gets the taunt, the knock up, and Awesome Jake has nowhere to go. The shield holds him out, but not for much longer. Panatom finally puts the Leviathans on the board with their first kill, and now Haddix has made his rotation over from the solo lane. Sanctified Fields out of Barracuda expended, but not much more that he can do.
Rongyu dashes in, finds the root onto Ven, forces out that beads early on. Can Panatom chase it out? Not the case this time. This has been a scrappy engagement, just one team finding a pick, trying to rotate towards these objectives, and immediately get caught out.
Oh no, Venenu stepped a little too far forward. Supernova out of Zapman, clips him and takes him out and evens up the kills across the board. Own Lanos mask to get a little bit of that extra tankiness. He went with a Pridwin in his second slot instead. But immediately Jake gets rooted out inside the silence puddle, doesn't have to use his beads just yet. Instead, he'll drop the circle of protection, but he's got nowhere to go. The Sanctified Fields, and he gets basically nothing back in the way of healing. And it's Yarkor the one to shut him down. Zapman rotates over the Supernova, slams through the Hunter, and Zapman gets one.
Man, the Olympus Bolts are getting lost in these team fights. Jake gets caught out, immediately shredded through the circle protection. Doesn't matter, damage mitigation.
Crushed the dreams of the Bolts on defending their tower.
Man, that was a low commitment siege from the Leviathans as well. Just a 9 turns blessing for Panatom, and he's not done.
Jake goes in. Jake doesn't have his beads anymore. He has to use them. Circle of protection in the middle of 3, but he doesn't get much. But Ven gets a shot with the Centaurs to get some big damage through. But the ultimate from Rongyu hits 3. Zapman in danger, has to Aegis to get away. Tries to get some healing back, but Lasbra doesn't have the shot, but Barracuda does from downtown.
But check Yarkor in the back line. He may have gone too deep. The Olympus Bolts take the 2 for 0, and they want to fall back and take out the Shark.
I mean, who's hurting Yarkor right now? He's taken 10-15% of his health while staring at 3 players by the Fire Giant.
And what was it we were talking about earlier? Defensive positioning favors the Bolts. If they are on the Fire Giant first, that is the Bolts at their strongest. And despite playing at a gold deficit, they're playing as if they've got the lead based off composition.
Haddix goes in. Yarkor gets a 4-man silence with the ultimate. Even Rongyu drops his to try and get some damage mitigation, but Barra is low and Barra is gone. Shinto manages to sneak a shot against him, but Zapman goes down to Venenu. Haddix is still bullying out the Hunter here. Shinto has to back away, but now Haddix is locked in place by that Shadow Lock out of the Nox, and Haddix gets knocked up by the turtle form, but he'll be able to make it out. Maybe though, Yarkor goes in, and a pin onto Awesome Jake will get his beads.
Awesome Jake left alone, as is Haddix, and it seems like the Leviathans know who the easier of the 2 targets is. Doesn't matter if you're auto-attacking for 14, if everybody on the Leviathans is doing so. And Awesome Jake. Barracuda slowly re-sustaining his team with this Oleron, so for the first time, the consolation prize of Pyromancer will go the way of the Order side team, but Haddix may have stepped too far forward.
Haddix and Jake both expend their ultimates just to try and stay alive. The shell has been eaten through. Yarkor dives in the back with a big ultimate, around 3 of them. but not a whole lot more damage after Lasbra dives in to try and get some damage on Shinto, but it's not enough. Instead, he gets turned on. Zapman picks him up. The cat, though, picks up Zapman and brings him right to the clutches of Venenu.
Panatom post-mortem is able to root out Barracuda, but he still had the Aegis available and will survive the damage. Then from downtown, finally shuts down Yarkor for the first time this game, and the two hunters on the... We have not seen the Olympus Bolts try in earnest to take this Phoenix just yet. We'll know. That's when Barracuda drops the ult.
Jake gets rooted in place right away. Sanctified Fields out of Barracuda to get Yarkor away from the fight. And a circle of protection out of Jake to hold them out. But it's a first on pop through. Shinto finds Lasbra, even with the Phoenix going down. But now it's the Leviathans on the chase. Venenu has to beads away from the pin, but it's Jake and Haddix who get stopped down.
Massive.
And Jake goes down.
Haddix now straggling the behind, the front line, or back line rather, of his team. Ven and Barracuda acting selfishly, going to leave their soul laner on an island, and that island might just spell death. The Leviathans may have lost to Phoenix, but they take out 2, nearly 3.
It's going to be a barrier to hold them out. Yeah, we'll go ahead and make it a nice and even 3. Maybe a nice and evener 4 here. Barracuda and Ven. Can I actually get all 5 of this one? Zapman slams him out with the Stellar Burst. And the Leviathans, who had the bolts knocking on their door at the Phoenix, right now just lost the game. It's only 20 seconds left on Lasbra. And the Atlantis Leviathans hold out at the Phoenix. They slam all 5 down, losing nobody, and they're going to take game 1.
You may have taken the Phoenix, but at what cost? The cost of your Titan. The Leviathans demand perfection. You have to play perfectly if you want to take out this team, and the Olympus Bolts nearly do so.
Instantly a 20-minute taunt in. Gilgamesh, you got that drop kick, the winds of Shamash, so it'll be tough for Lasbra for sure.
Well, we'll see whether or not the Bolts can tie things up here, or if the Leviathans are going to take a 2-0 lead in game number 2.
All right, everybody, synchronize your watches here because we got Rongyu on Circuit support. Go ahead and grab your timers, and we'll see how long that he can grab for himself, or he can go towards one of those other cloak options. Zapman uses Supernova. Barracuda will rush him down and disapparate. Just barely comes up in time to keep Zapman alive. Barracuda almost with the solo kill.
Yeah, we'll see if Zapman decides to stick around. A snipe could take him out. He has to play cautious here.
He's going to throw out the Stellar Burst, but Jake is now on the way, and I don't think he wants to stick around. Meanwhile, we have a 3-man rotation over to try and kill Haddix, and they will do so for first blood. The ticks, not quite enough, but Panatom does get it, and now Shinto has come over to help his hunter out. Awesome Jake has to drop his own ultimate just to get himself out. But Shinto, the good teammate, comes to help out Zap.
And Jake tries to stick around. He wants this purple buff invade, but he's playing with fire, and he gets taken down. Shinto says, you are not allowed to have this buff. Nobody takes farm for the mid. And Shinto hated it, I guarantee it.
He's mad. He's still up in net worth above everybody else, so he's still top. So he's happy about that. But the Bolts are not happy about this invade around the blue buff. 4 versus 4. The Hunters are on their own island while the rest of the team is fighting around this blue buff. Jake pulled back in. The stun is not good. Yarkor and Shinto take him out as the Stinger deals the final blow to Jake. And in the 4v4, it's the Leviathans who come out with 1. Just about to respawn. Lasbra finally wants to get himself active on this left side. Zapman caught out Supernova and the Disapparate get him out for only a moment. But Lasbra grabs him with the cat and finally able to make some impact on this left side. Rongyu is here, and he's not very happy about you taking out his hunter. But there's not a whole lot to watch. 2 people
and he's still there.
Clear a lane. No fear on this man. Will now jump in to find Awesome Jake. Hits him with the last breath. And it's just the bees from the swarm. And Shinto with the stinger obliterates Lasbra, puts him in the grave, and now Haddix the one on the run.
It's Ven still chasing out, separating this engagement. It's a 2v2 on the right. And a 2v2
wants to join this mix yet again, as it is a Shogun's Kusari picked up right after the Witchblade. So he's going to be boosting up the attack speed of his 2 big Hunter-style allies here. Rongyu goes in with a blink, Cobra's Kiss, and a last breath that Jake has absolutely nowhere to go. Picked off and taken off the map.
Man, that just robbed in broad daylight. Jake's like, I was walking back to my car at night. Able to resustain himself back up to full. Haddix utilizing his blink earlier on with the ultimate. Was able to drop Zapman low, but you wouldn't believe it. Looking at him now.
Primal Fury started up and then pulled away immediately. Yarkor goes in, Haddix goes for the ultimate, but Zapman will immune it out with a Supernova that's crashing down on top of Haddix, and Shinto with the Stinger takes down 1. Yarkor finds Haddix, and quickly, it's only 3 left alive on the Olympus Bolts, and that 3 may be no more as Barracuda is surrounded by the Leviathans and burned down.
Man, Lasbra just overcommits in that team fight, takes way too much damage, forces Barracuda to step forward, and Barracuda to his
one time each in those 2 games, I should say.
Yeah, just not ideal performance so far from Lasbra out of the jungle. He's got damage output. I mean, he's up there on the charts, dead center. I mean, he's a slightly higher than Panatom, but Panatom's not a damage dealer. He's a support.
Rongyu's gonna go ahead and mug Lasbra inside of his jungle. There's an ultimate that holds Panatom down, but he's not going anywhere. Lasbra, though, he's going right back to the fountain. Panatom and Rongyu team up to take him out, and now it's a 4v3 on this left Phoenix. They might not have the tankiness to try and go through this one, and Zapman lose out a nice bit of his health bar, but now the rest of the team is here. They can regroup and push down this Phoenix.
Yeah, Lasbra's dead for 40 entire seconds. The Phoenix will fall from 0 defense with the bolts.
Dark Core goes in, only finds 1, and Haddix will use a quick beat. Sanctified Field out of Barracuda holds them out, but Supernova is crashing through the backline. Barra has no health bar left as Panatom jumps in to take him out. Venenu slowed down, has to use the Aegis to try and delay as long as he can. He'll make it back to the fountain, as will Jake. But the Leviathans not quite as healthy as they may have wished for to try and go for this Titan.
Good stun nearly from Awesome Jake, connects with Zapman, but instead he just walks his way out of there. The Leviathans may have loved to have go for the end there, but Lasbra will be rejoining. And Zapman may have lost out on half of his, but he's got the resustain to just go ahead and heal up and fight yet again. Lasbra forced back to base. Rongyu now has the flank, and the right side Phoenix is dropping low.
Haddix goes in with the ultimate, but it's a supernova out of Zap in response to the CC immune himself. Shinto pops the beads, and Circle of Protection is down. The orbs out of this Hunter are not doing enough damage. Jake is picked up and thrown to the wolves of the Leviathan. They grab the support instantly.
Meanwhile in mid, Lasbra losing a 1v1 up against Panatom as well as his Phoenix. On the right-hand side, that Phoenix has been left exposed as well. Take a peek at the left, maybe that could be your silver lining. Nope, Minions got that one. Every single Phoenix stripped away, and Jake dead for 40.
Dark Core the only one low on this Leviathan squad as they look towards this Titan. The last objective standing in their way from closing out game number 2. It's now 4 versus 5 out of the Bolt. Jake back up in 23 seconds. But the Leviathans are playing so patiently. Yarkor waiting to resustain himself with these minions.
Does not have the minion wave to walk in with him, but does not need it. That Titan is burning quick, but then faster.
Venenu is gone. A drop kick against the wall is all that it takes to kill out the mid laner. Zapman loses the 2v1 that he got caught inside of. Lasbra gets the credit for that one, but the Titan is going to go down, and the Leviathans are going to close out game number 2 nice and cleanly.
How well a team is able to mentally recover from some of those earlier game losses.
That is going to be, I think, the test of this. When we watched them play up against the Dragons during the SWC placements, they went down 2, they fight back 2. Unfortunately, they ended up losing that last one. We'll see whether or not the Bolts can kick off the start of a reverse sweep, or if the Leviathans are going to end up answering back from last year's World in kind. They are up 2-0 as of right now. With a draft that the desk seems to love a little bit more for the Leviathans, we'll see if they can close it out here, or if the Bolts will put back a fight in Game 3.
Leviathans, they're up 2-0 of the Bolts, and they are 1 game closer to going to the semifinals, where they'll have to face off against the Camelot Kings.
Slot, the additional HP going to help out Lasbra a lot with DPS as well. Just a great item to pick up on Guild, but we've already got double pen for Panatom.
Well, we saw this earlier on. Rongyu uses the ultimate yet again, leaps over the wall, but Lasbra says not this time and throws the Wind to Shamash over the wall to catch him. But now it's the Leviathans turning everything right back to the Bolts. They execute the Fatal Strike. Isn't going to get enough distance. Yarkor dunks on his head to get 1. Lasbra stuck under the tower trying to juke away from Panatom. But now Panatom is going to go down because he steps a little too far. But at least Yarkor is able to make up and get a double of his own.
Why didn't Panatom just jump back? My man just walked through the tower. He just tanked it
the entire time by the Olympus Bolts. But there is a nice and deep sentry ward staring right there, at least for Jake to get some vision if anybody goes through. Rongyu does pick up Awesome Jake, but it seems like the Bolts will be fine, potentially giving up their support, but they don't even have to do that just yet. Panatom goes in to try and find the leap, but it's a quick leap out. Execute is here for Haddix if he needs to use it, and he will not indeed get it off there. It gets body blocked out. Panatom makes it out just barely. Rongyu turns the fight around. Lasbra's gone. but the Winds are able to at least trade it out.
Barracuda left alone. Zapman, credit for this kill. Can Ven make his way out? We've seen some miraculous escapes. Not the case. Yarkor picks up yet another one. And, well, Haddix, can you get out? I'm not sure.
Zapman is here. Jake comes back after the brutal beating that he received.
On this defense, the Leviathans have decided to forego the split push, and instead, they're going in as 5.
Barracuda has already taken some poke, and so is Haddix. Lasbra opening up the door to maybe try and make a path in the back, but it's Wrong Yu going to the carries. Yarkor dives in the back line, and Wrong Yu is finally getting a lot of damage thrown his way. This might be the first time they can finally get a big pick onto the support. They get him down, and now Panatom is low. Lasbra able to pick that one up and make it a 2-for-1 trade, and maybe a third if Haddix can find Shinto in the back line, but Shinto able to peel himself out, and a drop kick will be the last thing that Lasbra gets to do. It's the last thing that the Bolts may get to do here, because it's now 3 versus just Jake, but Jake might have enough CC and damage to hold them.
Zapman dropped low here, but it won't stop him for long. The Leviathans have got their eyes on the Titan.
Triple kill for Shinto to end game 3 and send the Olympus Bolts packing. The Atlantis Leviathans get a clean sweep here in our second set of the day, and they move on to the semifinals.
What a dominant performance from the Leviathans in this set. Game 1 was not indicative of the rest of this set.